Now, the president has assured South Africans that stage 8 power cuts are unlikely. This despite warnings from experts who say otherwise. At his third presidential imbizo in Mpumalanga earlier today, Cyril Ramaphosa has tried to allay fears over the state of the nation and government's ability to deliver. Govan Whittles following the story for us. He joins us now live. So, Govan, the president seems to have more confidence in Eskom than many experts. Why?
Yeah, he says that Eskom's doing everything it can to keep the lights on. He has a lot of confidence in the independent power producing program. Remember, bid window 6 has just opened up, and that promises to get extra capacity onto the grid. Eskom has also cleared the way for self-generation capacity to be fed onto the grid. The last hurdle, really, the NERSA regulations that will get people to contribute to the grid. And Eskom saying that it needs additional power. It should be noted, though, that the Mineral Resources and Energy Minister Govan Whittles is saying Eskom has got 45,000 megawatts of capacity, and at best it uses 30,000 megawatts of capacity. So he doesn't buy the story that they need between 4,000 to 6,000 megawatts to keep the lights on and conduct the maintenance that's necessary. But importantly, Eskom has said it's kind of like a car where they might have that 45,000 megawatts capacity, but they can't rev the engine up all the way to 45 because the car simply can't take it. The power stations can't take it, and that's the desperate need for new power generation capacity. But let's listen now to what the president had to say about the potential of stage 8 load shedding and why he believes it's unlikely.
With regard to electricity, obviously it's a recurring problem with Eskom, and as we get to hear more and more, sabotage is a part of the challenges that we are having to deal with, including the difficulties that they are having in dealing with maintenance, breakages. I don't really believe that we will go up to stage 8. I think the management is doing everything they can to ensure that they keep up with maintenance, and if it breaks down, they repair very quickly. So we're still very hopeful that we have a management that's got things under control. I think we will continue to have load shedding, but it is going to be the type of load shedding that they will warn everybody about in advance as they try everything they can to keep the lights on and the generation of electricity going on.
Mr. President. Okay, let's move on to this imbizo that the president was at today. It's supposed to give citizens the opportunity to interact directly with the president. What are some of the other concerns raised?
Well, there are many concerns here in Mpumalanga, Shahan, specifically here in Carolina. The people here seem to complain that there aren't many facilities for them, and they have to travel to neighboring towns to visit provincial hospitals, to use sport facilities, even for local things like entertainment. But on a basic level, they've complained about the lack of access to water and electricity, and the appalling state of the roads, and the fact that you still have school children crossing rivers with heavy currents just to get to schools. There have been a number of commitments made here by the ministers as well as the president, and it does appear that they've got a timeline to address a lot of the concerns here. Mpumalanga also notorious for the business forums that are essentially hijacking government projects and stopping them from running their course, and in that regard, Bekitele, the Minister of Police, promising that he'll intervene, and the president has said that the ministers won't be allowed to just make promises here. They need to be back in Carolina after 3 weeks, or at least 4 weeks, to report back to the residents on exactly what they've managed to fix or to implement the plans hand in hand with the residents. Let's speak to some of them now, Shahan. With me, I've got one young man here. He was listening attentively to the president's address. His name is Senzo. Senzo, what did you think of what the president said and the ministers as well?
Well, I think the president has spoken very well, and I'm happy about what he said. Well, and the ministers, we've heard everything what they've promised us. But then all I can say is that let's wait and see that those promises, they will keep those promises.
Senzo, do you believe and do you have trust in this government?
Well, yeah, 50%. I won't give them 100% because they've disappointed us at the first time, and now maybe they can do that again.
Yeah, well, of course, they're endeavoring not to do that, and they've promised not to, but they'll be back in a month, Shahan, to report back to people like Senzo and all of the other constituencies that were here at this Imbizo. So that's really when they'll be tested on whether these were empty promises or whether they've been able to follow through on what they've promised. For now, it's back to you.
All right, we're going to leave it right there. Govan Whittles following that story for us. He's live in Mpumalanga.